Okay, welcome to today's session where we'll continue working with the law of Demeter and try to more understand the impact of law of Demeter and test. More concretely, I don't generally just think about law of Demeter, right? It's not like I'm looking at the code and every time I type something, it's like, does this break law of Demeter or not? I sometimes like stop and think and do stuff, but something that always happened to me if I don't work, like if I don't look at the law of Demeter when I do the coding, is that when I do the testing, it becomes very obvious for some different reasons. And we will look at one of what we call test pains, things that makes it more problematic to test than it needs to be. And yeah, it hurts. It feels bad to write tests in this way. So in the example, I have these two different ways of writing tests using mocks or not using mocks, and I prefer not using mocks, or at least writing my own mocks instead of using a mocking library. And we have some underline here that says that it's not reachable. I think that is not correct anymore. Let's run the test to see that it starts. It should probably crash because we do some null pointer stuff here that we really shouldn't be doing. So it's asserting something here that the damage should be 10, and we're going to ignore what we assert here because we're just going to allow it to be whatever it is, because this code is already written. That means that the code is the truth and the test should just reflect that. So we're writing tests now to mainly see the pain for writing tests for this kind of code, but also if we want to have tests for refactoring, then this is basically how you would do if you didn't have tests before. So let's start from the bottom. I think that is normally a good place to start. So we have an assert and we get the damage. Let's just extract this player variable to make it a little bit easier to read here. Okay, so we have the player and I calculate damage from the target. The target is a simple enemy. What does the simple enemy take as a constructor? It takes an armor. So let's see if we can ask IntelliJ here for it doesn't know about the simple armor. I'm not sure why, but let's do simple armor and we'll give it 0 soak. It's a very bad armor, and we can just do that and call it armor. What's the second thing here? It's a list, so let's give it an empty list right there. Awesome. And then we have the inventory, and the inventory takes what? It takes some equipment. So equipment, and I don't know if it, now it finds basic item. Maybe it just needed some time. So let's just call it item, and let's give it 1 base damage and 1 modifier. And let's extract that to item, and then I'm just gonna add item here multiple times, 5 times, awesome, and extract equipment as well. Wow, so I did a lot of like fast typing, a lot of extract and autocomplete, and even though it didn't help me as much as I hoped, we still got there in the end. But what happens now is that when I want to create a new test, I'm not going to write it from scratch because that was hard. It hurt. There's pain here. I'm going to copy it. So let's just run this test and figure out what the assert actually should be. So it says, oh, it should be 24. So let's give it 24. And I'm curious now to test damage collection more than one type of item. So let's create one more good item, and it can have 10 here and maybe 0.5, and we'll give it one good item. Yeah, thank you for fixing that for me. Good item. We'll run the tests. You can see that we get a different number, but that's fine. So we have 2 tests here. We should probably continue. We should definitely run code coverage to see not the number in particular, but like what lines of the code do we cover, and we can see that we cover actually every code, every line except this buffs here, but we'll not get into too much detail there. But if I would change the name now of inventory to be something else, or move equipment so that it would change the structure of the code, like as we discussed in a different one, maybe a player should have an inventory and equipment. Maybe the equipment isn't part of the inventory. Then we would need to change all these tasks, and all of these tasks would break. And I hear this a lot from people that doing test-driven development and failing, is that, and not even test-driven development, just writing tests, that they are in the way because as soon as I change one thing, I need to change all of the tests. And normally in code we have these 2 things that we benefit from separating, and that is the structure and how things are done, right? So don't mix that. That's why we like map and for in instead of for loops. And this is at least one way to make sure that you don't need to update your task because of changing the structure. So the pain is here. How would this look different if we restructure it? So let's move some methods around here. Okay, so let's move base damage here. First, I think this could be a function instead, because I think that's a little bit easier here. We can move it back if we like to, but I'm just gonna start with this here. Let's close the coverage. So we can let's see, we want to move inventory here, there, and then like so, and we rename this to stats modifier, and let's extract this to method. Oh, we need to actually extract this. Let's start with this one, it's easier. Okay. And move. Oh, so we can't really do this well in Kotlin. I'm surprised. I thought I was able to do this before. Let's see if I just didn't Well, let's do this by hand then. Uh, okay, so we'll fix that one, and then let's do this one for hand as well. I don't know why we need to do this, but I guess. And well, I think this is good enough. I hope to illustrate the thing. Let's run the tests. Now we have a test, so we can check that it works. So one good thing is that when you use refactoring tools, which we weren't able to do now, and I'm not sure why, but if the things can also refactor the test, that removes some of these kind of headaches, especially when you're going from code that is not well structured to code that becomes better structured. But here, what we basically want to is not letting the test know about equipment or items. So it only needs to know about inventory. So we could do this in many ways, but the inventory class is open here, so we could just do object maybe it's better to make an interface. Yeah, let's do that instead. Okay, so no. I inventory. sure. We could definitely have better names. Let's just so now this test should fail because we have totally changed the calculations, and it said it only became 0. Let's give it at least 1 strength and see if that changed it, because 0 is very suspicious. Okay, so 2 times 10, and then the stats from strength, I guess, times, yeah, so it needs to be bigger value, so 20 is fine. But you can see now that if we compare this test with this test, so the reason this test could fail now, it's a lot smaller. It's only if the stats change, and we might want to make an interface of that as well. And the armor and the target, and of course the player. And the player is the thing that we really want to test here, so that's the only thing that really should change. The making this test fail, I guess. But also the methods on inventory, and we can maybe rename this to be just modifier, because it doesn't need to be from inventory anymore when it's moved. So I hope this was helpful, showing one more reason to care about law of Demeter, and how you can notice that you're breaking law of Demeter without looking for it, only feeling the pain when you try to test. So if you like this video, please click the like button, subscribe, and as they say, click the belly thing. It actually do help us, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video, and have a good day.